A car going into a pond with kids inside. Surveillance video of this attack. It was just handed to us a few moments ago. So I'm going to play it here. This is the best we can do at the moment. You're going to see this woman walking across the street. St. Paul police are now responding to our story about an investigation. And guys, this is a crazy story even by bachelor party standards. The city of St. Paul making some changes starting tomorrow. The Wheelock Parkway Bridge and the Arlington Avenue Bridge both have to come down. For the next several months, season ticket holders will be coming here. Winning it could be a real long shot. The state is installing these talking urinal deodorizer cakes, hoping to keep the drunks off of the road. Out at a bar, the women aren't talking to you, but at least the urinal cakes
is. After all these years.
Mary Higgins still emotional even 63 years later. 1951 was the last time anyone heard from her brother-in-law, Corporal Robert Higgins, just 20 years old, fighting in the Korean War.
My husband, he enlisted, and Lou, the other brother, he enlisted. Army, Navy, and Marines. 3
brothers all serving their country, but it was Robert who never came home. Bob, as he went by, the thoughtful son, regularly writing to his worried mom on February 9th, 1951, telling her everything's okay, that he was in fairly high spirits. But it wasn't to last. 4 days after writing this letter, Robert, fighting in one of the most gruesome battles of the war, was captured. There was still hope, though, thanks to a letter from another POW who wrote that Corporal Higgins, weeks later, was still in good health.
That he saw Bob, they were in a battle, and that he was okay when he saw him.
But then the leads dried up.
We didn't hear anything at all, nothing.
Nothing for 6 decades until a few days ago, thanks to Bob's nephew Fred, who himself served during Vietnam, recently sent the Army a DNA sample, and prayers were answered.
And that's how they were able to match my brother Fred's DNA with Uncle Bob's bones, his remains.
60 years later plus.
Yes.
Are you just shocked?
Isn't it wonderful? It's a miracle.
Robert Higgins' name, of course, is listed here at the Korean War Memorial at Penn's Landing. Until now, it's been the only physical place family members could come to reflect on his passing. That will change, though, when he's buried at Washington Crossing National Cemetery.
But I used to think that he was going to come to my door one day. So I guess he did, in a way.
BradSattin, Fox 29 News.
BradSattin was first on the scene.
Bill, certainly a sad day for law enforcement. I got to tell you, been here for about 4 hours now, have very few specifics of exactly what happened. We know there was supposed to be a news conference a couple hours ago at the scene, just a few miles from here. It was moved here to Mendota Heights, the city hall. They're telling us around 5 o'clock they're going to have details, telling us a little while ago it'll become clear why there's been a delay in information. But in the meantime, let us take you to the scene from a short time ago, the area we're talking about, Dodd Road and Smith Avenue. Witnesses say they heard 3 shots. This was during the noon hour. What was, by all accounts, a routine traffic stop. A green Pontiac Grand Prix was pulled over by an officer. The officer apparently shot in the head. Now, we did talk to a woman who saw that officer and another who was almost hit in her car by the suspect's car.
And then I saw him laying in the street.
Everybody rushing to the scene. We know that the BCA is here, the State Patrol is here, Mendota Heights, West St. Paul Police Department, very key in this investigation. Let's take a look down at the water. It's moving at about 3 times its normal pace, we're told. As we go from the water, it's kind of going to be hard to see here, but through the trees on the top of the rocks there, you see a lot of people there, family members. They are family members of the victim who they're searching for. Below the areas where the 3 people went in the water, again, 2 of them okay, 1 person missing. Got off the phone a short time ago with the sheriff, who tells me 38 people were involved in this search today, but Tu Fu Vang is still missing. An agonizing day of waiting for the family of 21-year-old Tu Fu Vang. The Coon Rapids man was fishing on the St. Croix River late Sunday afternoon with his 11-year-old nephew, Kelvin Yang, when the little boy slipped.
And I didn't know it was slippery, and I stepped on the rock and I slipped and fell into the water.
Tu Fu then jumped in after him.
My uncle jumped in after me and tried to save me.
He went in with his clothes and his shoes on, and I guess in the instant that happened, he was like, oh, shoot, I have to go save my nephew.
A passerby who saw the whole thing jumped off the rocks from about 30 feet up. All 3 floated down the river, the current just too strong. That passerby was eventually able to save the little boy.
There was like a bridge over there, and then I think I floated towards the bridge.
Toward the bridge. Were you able to get to safety by yourself, or did that other man help you?
He helped me.
But there's been no sign of Tu Fu Vang.
He never come back. They never see the river, never swimming.
So your son could not swim?
Oh, no, could not.
This is the exact spot where the two were fishing yesterday. You can see how low it is. It's quite a climb to get down here. As we go closer to the water, you can see how quickly the current is moving. Panning over to the right, family members are waiting for some news as crews on the water are continuing to search. The Water Patrol spending the entire day dredging the river, but so far no luck.
And that's our assumption. They either got caught under a underwater cavern or maybe by a log, or I know our boats are having a hard time. We're snagging everything on the bottom of the river.
Now, again, I talked to the sheriff a short time ago who told me that they were going to keep searching until about 6 o'clock, another hour or so. But as you see here, we see no one on the river. I know there were some concerns about the weather, so they were going to stop for the night at around 6 o'clock, but apparently decided a little earlier. They're going to continue again, we're told, tomorrow morning. By the way, the victim was scheduled to get married later this summer. Live in Taylor's Falls, BradSattin, 5 Eyewitness News. Guys, I got to tell you, I'm not much of a basketball player here. That half-court shot that Amir made, I could have never made it. However, for about 20 minutes last night, I could have played in the game because all I would have had to do was this.
It's a field goal. Here's Amir Coffey from a long way. Got it! Coffey!
Just throw up a prayer and pray to God that it goes in.
It went in all right from almost 70 feet out. Amir Coffey's game winner, a miracle buzzer beater.
It took me a few seconds to actually realize that it went in.
The basket sent Hopkins to the championship game against Lakeville North tomorrow night, but don't ask this sophomore to do that again.
I think that was a once in a lifetime. I don't think I could hit that again if someone paid me to do it.
The #1 play on ESPN last night. Safe to say Mom was more nervous than he was.
And I felt like, oh my goodness, I need those paddles to start my heart again, because it was like a heart attack moment.
Hopkins into the state championship game.
But if that was a heart attack moment, it followed 20 minutes of barely a pulse basketball. Downright boring.
We might have a riot here from the fans. And does this generate talk next year of instituting a shot clock in high school?
With no shot clock in the high school league, Hopkins through 4 overtimes mostly just held the ball, opting to let the clock wind down to take a final shot for a win. Boring for fans, yes, but Hopkins' coach defends it, saying he'd do it again.
Within the rules, within the strategy, I think we did what we should do. I mean, why miss it, then let them hold it for 50 seconds or 2 minutes, which they would have done.
Now, you might be surprised to hear that Hopkins' coach is in favor of a shot clock. So are some league officials. So could things be changing maybe for next year? We'll investigate that tonight at 6. Live at Target Center, BradSattin, 5 Eyewitness News. There sure is a lot of slicing, pouring, stirring, flipping, tasting, and judging going on.
All in all, that dessert is stellar.
At the Pro Start Invitational, 10 groups of high school students hoping to measure up to become the top cooking team in the state. And talk about a pressure cooker.
It's very nerve-wracking, I can tell you.
Each team has 60 minutes starting from scratch and using their own ingredients.
2 minutes, team. 2 minutes.
To come up with a salad or appetizer.
I've always thought appetizers should be seafood.
An entree.
1 minute.
And dessert. Spending the entire school year practicing for this 1 hour.
3, 2, 1, time.
Hands up.
Inspired, many are quick to admit, by what they see on TV.
Hell's Kitchen.
What is that? Nobody's going to do that here to these guys.
Thanks to those food shows, the 18 judges are surprised what kids actually know.
I have young 16, 17-year-olds coming up to me going, I'd like to use truffles.
Some things work.
3 of the desserts that I've seen so far I would put on my menu.
Others not so much.
That's my fault, take responsibility.
But what happens on these butane burners is just part of what it takes to be a chef. They're also judged on their non-cooking skills, like how's the menu look and how much for that dessert?
A $15 dessert? That seems kind of high.
Still, this Elk River team took the title and celebrated in style with a sandwich and Doritos. In Mounds View, BradSattin, 5 Eyewitness News. Why did I come to this house to watch people smoke pot and get tattoos?
Just put your thumb over the card, and then you can hit it.
Before you judge, watch the story coming up. With her life jacket on, canoe in the water and oars in hand, Amy Anderson of Bloomington is kicking off summer. Living life to the fullest, nothing has slowed down this 45-year-old soccer mom. Warm weather has always meant organizing neighborhood block parties, walking for breast cancer, spending time with family and friends. But today,
it's kind of humiliating.
She could hardly stand.
I need to let my doctors know, and I'm trying to file for disability right now.
Spending time in clinics for days on end, getting steroid infusions, trying to ease the pain that all started with a loss of feeling and trembling.
It's like my whole body is shaking, but I can't see it.
I woke up one morning and my legs were completely numb. I thought maybe a pinched nerve or that I slept funny. I didn't know.
Doctors did. Amy woke up to discover a sudden new reality. She had multiple sclerosis, lesions growing on her brain that could lead to a variety of physical or mental symptoms. For Amy, it was her legs, suddenly feeling like lead weights and always feeling tired.
I was angry. I was really ticked off. I had young kids at home, and it was going to change everything.
Walking here is a big deal.
Yeah, it's a big deal.
It took yet another round of steroids to get her on her feet like this, but it won't last.
So this one fits my personality more.
Most days she relies on a cane and increasingly a scooter.
I ask for help. And it's just really, seriously, this last 6-8 months that I've reached out.
And she found a huge source of comfort in a friend, Shannon Dotson of Minneapolis. Her days of hiking up mountains are behind her. Shannon herself was diagnosed with MS 6 years ago.
The thing is that no matter how close of a friend someone is, they don't understand unless they have it.
So earlier this month, Amy and Shannon took a road trip to Camp Courage in Maple Lake, Minnesota, spending 4 days with others battling MS, sharing their frustrations, their successes, but most of all, just enjoying each other's company.
Welcome to camp. Thank you very much.
For the 100 or so people attending camp this week, it's about the friendships with people who really get what they're going through. It's literally about staying afloat. But this camp lasts just a few days a year, which means when camp is over, so too can be that feeling of companionship. Suddenly, Amy is alone again, no longer in camp, but back in her living room. Which brings us to the point of this story, the power of social media in transforming lives. It's often said that someone with MS can appear to be drunk. So when Amy happened to stumble upon a Facebook page called "We're Not Drunk, We Have MS," it changed her life. It was that Facebook page that led to a connection, just a simple friendship, with a woman named Sherry in Colorado, also fighting MS.
I just immediately clicked with her, and it just was like, you know what? She's, getting up every day, and she's doing her thing, and even though she deals with it, she's still doing it. She's just, you have to keep going.
But the story doesn't end there. That friend, Sherry, was one of the first on that members-only Facebook page, already over 11,000 members in just 10 months. So Sherry decided she wanted to get everyone together for a sort of reunion at her home in Colorado. And so Amy and Shannon loaded up their car.
I'm just going to shove stuff in here.
And took another road trip, this one more than 900 miles.
We're not in Minnesota anymore. We are here.
It's a trip that could change their lives.
We're now in Nebraska.
This is so cool. There is a moose on the side of the road.
And so after 14 hours of driving over the course of 3 days, including lots of stops, Amy and Shannon finally made it here to the outskirts of Denver, Colorado.
Okay, that's what we have.
Sherry Wyman, opening up her home dubbed Camp Wyman, had a prediction.
I know that it's going to be a tearful weekend. Ooh.
The hugs first started at the airport. Others driving to Sherry's home, getting the same emotional welcome.
Oh my God, I'm glad to just see.
Matt Pineda came from Atlanta.
I can't do this without crying, but I wanted to please for everything y'all done.
Don't cry, honey. Honey, don't cry. It's okay. We love you.
We love you too.
A toast to the administrators of the Facebook page, the ones who run it.
To the family.
Absolutely. Best family ever.
And then a toast to the page itself.
We're not drunk, we have a mask.
That's right.
Across the country they came.
Nevada, New York, Arizona,
New Hampshire,
Washington State.
And with Minnesota now just a few blocks away,
We're getting close.
even Amy's fatigue can't stop her. For a family reunion worth singing about.
We are family!
And into the open arms of her Facebook family.
Hi! Bring it in, sister. Bring it in. Oh, it's so good to meet you. You look exactly like your picture. Oh, we made it.
I made it all from scratch. Me and Marie Cowan.
Sharing laughs and tears with people who get it. A reunion worth celebrating in ink.
It's totally personal. That tattoo's going to commemorate that forever, forever.
The tattoos, the long travel to get here, the hugs, the tears, the love, the hours online. All thanks to this woman, Leslie Hilburn, who started the page.
Yeah, it's humbling. I'm amazed. And you're going to make me cry.
Turning to social media not only to improve lives.
Do you think you've saved lives?
Honestly, yeah. I have. I've had several people tell me that if it wasn't for the page or wasn't for the phone call, that they wouldn't be here today.
As you get by now, this is a true support group, members sharing their struggles and their solutions. What makes the pain go away? For some, it's pot. Medicinally or recreationally, it is legal here in Colorado. Matt, though, is from Atlanta, where it's not.
Yeah, I have to do what I have to do. I mean, it's a constant pain that you just feel. My legs are worse. I have a lot of lesions on my C-spine, which affect my mobility. I walk with a cane.
Matt was diagnosed with MS 4 years ago, and he smokes every day, having to use this roller because his fingers won't let him hand roll. He prefers marijuana over anything his doctor prescribes.
It's more effective. It works faster. I mean, I won't take any other medicine because of it, because this is so much better for me.
This is not about getting stoned for the fun of it. This is to ease the pain.
Yes, exactly. Like, I don't hurt after I smoke.
Other times he smokes using a bowl. Not everyone in this group smokes, but many were interested in learning more, so they all took a trip to, what else? A place called Kennemart, where once inside, after showing your ID, you go through another door, and, well, there's not much to see.
Welcome, everybody. Welcome.
Just a glass counter with different strains of marijuana on display. This is where recreational users come to buy. But go behind yet another door into the small room, and patients like Sherry Wyman, who has a license for medical marijuana, get theirs here. The same pot for sale, but medical patients avoid a more than 20% additional state tax.
How much is an eighth of this?
Eighth of the Dairy Queen? The Dairy Queen's actually going to be a $25 eighth.
Okay.
Yup, a strain of pot known as Dairy Queen. There's also Girl Scout cookies and other strange names.
Big Widow, do you have that back here?
All pot is not the same. Strains with the key compound of tetrahydrocannabinol, known as THC, will give you that traditional high, that feeling in your head of being stoned.
See, what I really prescribe for multiple sclerosis is CBD.
Most MS patients want relief from the pain in their bodies and choose pot with high concentrations of cannabidiol, CBD, a body relaxer.
So you want the CBDs, not so much the THCs.
That's correct.
And these are all broken up based on what you're looking for.
Correct.
The woman behind the counter, she's actually called a bud tender as she tends to these buds of marijuana, says she smokes to control her diabetes.
The chemical in marijuana can help my blood sugars not to spike.
And marijuana here isn't just for smoking.
This has 500 milligrams of THC in it.
Called peach banana rings.
Yes.
In the form and taste of gummy rings. And on this day,
$222.
Sherry buying enough here to last a few weeks. For these Facebook friends, this wraps up an educational and emotional weekend, promising this isn't the end of new friendships, but just the beginning.
To the family.
Already planning next year's reunion in Florida.